Alright, so you can see this is Florida. So we're in Central Florida. So I'm going to zoom right back in. So also along the way here, I'm also been learning a lot about using my cell phones, doing our videotaping. So I have 2 cell phones I've been using. It's like here in this video, so I've learned not to use the portrait like this, the portrait style. I've learned to turn my phone sideways and use the landscape. You get a lot more video, a lot better video in the landscape mode where the phone is turned sideways. So this is the marking for the hiking trail, the Florida National Scenic Trail for foot traffic and bicycles. So I've been learning a lot about using the phones here too, as well as far as like not really zooming in, because when you zoom in you lose a lot of picture, a lot of clearness in it. And I've been also learning to like pan real slowly from left to right, to pan real slow to try to keep it from blurring. It blurs the video if I pan kind of fast. So right here we were coming back out. And coming back out here, I didn't get it on video, but we had walked past a water moccasin. We were within about 2 feet of a water moccasin, and I didn't get any footage of that because I was, as soon as I seen it, I was pushing Winnette on out of the way, making sure we stayed out away from it. Here's another area we went to that's a part of Green Swamp, the big huge Green Swamp area itself. We went here to Colt Creek State Park, went in here and to do a little hiking and get used to some of this area and look around a couple of the campsites in here. And this was our first time going in here in October 2019. And actually that day we went in, they had a ranger-led hike, so we decided to go on it. And the ranger-led hike, they actually have one of the rangers take you around through, and they actually give you a lot of information. They give you a lot of information to teach you about a lot of things in here. The Colt Creek State Park's a really good place to go hiking. We've been in there a few times. This was our first time here in this video, but we've been in here a few times since then. One of the times we went in was for a Bigfoot town hall meeting. So that was really nice. There was no money traded places at all. Alright, this was in November. This was in November here. We went to the Bigfoot Town Hall in Colt Creek State Park that was put on by the Trail to Bigfoot. And this was just a totally free event. There was no money that traded places with anything. Everything was totally free other than paying $4 to go in for to the state park. The admission to the state park was $4. But the Trail to Bigfoot, they had several people come in and speak. This is one of them here. This one, Expedition Bigfoot, is a museum in Georgia. They came down and he got up and spoke for a little while, and they had a few other speakers. and quite a few people come up and told their story about what they had seen. So like I said, this was a totally free event. Nobody was selling anything. Nobody was trying to make any money off of anybody. So here I'm just showing, I just videoed some of the exhibits that they had, people had set up, showing off some of their stuff they had brought down to show. So I'm not actually showing any faces or anything like that. I didn't videotape any people speaking for just privacy reasons. But this was stuff the guy brought down from the Expedition Bigfoot Museum in Georgia. This was all his stuff he brought down. So this was in November of 2019. This was the Trail to Bigfoot stuff here he had. And he had found a 19-inch track in the Green Swamp area. So he unboxed it and showed it to everybody during the meeting. So it was the first time he showed it was to the group here. This was another group that got up and talked. So this was a really good day. We learned a lot. So here's the track. There's the footprint that they showed. It was 19 inches. They raffled off a lot of stuff, so we come home with a box full of stuff. It was absolutely free. No money changed hands. It was a really nice experience going here and being around other people that have witnessed Bigfoot or searching and researching. We had a really good time. Learned a lot. So this is some of the stuff we brought home that day that they did like a raffle, and just almost everybody got something that day. Some of the people that came down and spoke. People that came down and spoke and brought stuff with them to give away. We got t-shirts, we got magnets, we got a Bigfoot figure, a poster. We brought home a lot of cool stuff that day. That's a little piece of hand-painted wood with a magnet on the back of it. A bunch of magnets. So this was all a part of our first learning about Bigfoot, about where to look for them, what to look for. Part of our getting out here and learning. Okay, so this was actually November 3rd. This was like a week before the Bigfoot Town Hall. This was a week before the Bigfoot Town Hall here, in an area that I was going into research and doing some hiking, and I actually came across a muddy area here that had a lot of footprints, and they were all consistent sizes of about 8.5 inches long and about 3.5 inches wide, and actually had a juvenile. There was at least one juvenile there that the footprint was about 6 inches long and about 2.5 inches wide. And these were all in a muddy area right here. All of these tracks were in line, where they wasn't staggered like our steps are. And it looked like they had probably like one night had come through here, and then the next night had went back. Or they could have all done it in one night. But it looks like they came walking through here and then had went to wherever they were going and then had turned around and come back through here. And this is near a camping area. One of the places we were learning to look was near a camping area. So that's where I found this, actually right before I got to the camping area. It was a primitive camping area. You had to hike to it. So I found these and I made some casts. And there's some dog tracks there. There's some coyote tracks. I've been working on my tracking skills and learning the difference between a dog track and a coyote track. So this was actually our first time actually finding tracks. So I did some measurements and took a lot of video and a lot of pictures. And I've learned since then. I've learned a lot since this first time, as far as taking a lot more measurements. And we've also made casts of our own feet and did a lot of measurements of our own feet and our step and our stride. And now that I've been finding other tracks too, I've been doing a lot more measuring. I've been measuring the footprints themselves, the width and the length. I've been measuring the stride, which is from like the left heel to left heel or right heel to right heel is the stride. And then I've been learning about the step. The step is from like the right heel to the left heel. And even though this is a little muddy too, it's pretty hard ground. So these footprints, these are sunk in a lot more than mine. I do a little, couple of my videos where I'm finding footprints. I'm doing some, like, stepping with my feet and videotaping it with my boots on even. And even kind of moving around a little bit and putting more extra pressure on it too. And it's not going in nowhere as deep as these are. And these have a lot wider, even though these footprints are smaller than mine, they have a lot wider step and a lot wider stride. So this was actually our first find on November 3rd. You can see there's some dog tracks there, there's coyote tracks too around. And I've seen some videos from other people here in Florida that have found footprints like these, similar to these in other areas like South Florida. Real similar footprints in South Florida, and some other people up around this area too even. So I'm going to share this video also here and on my diary series here on the forum. So I find hair also in this video. when I get up next to the camping area, I find hair actually too. And we've done some burn tests on the hair to see if it is actually hair, and it burns, and it doesn't actually burn, it singes. We did some of our hairs ourselves too to compare it to, and it singes just like human hair does. It doesn't burn like moss. We found some moss out here that looks similar, and we've done the burn test on that too, and the moss actually burns like wood or organic material, or vegetation I should say. The moss burns like vegetation and wood, where the hairs, they singe and they stink real bad. So when you burn hairs, they actually, like with the lighter, they actually stink. Okay, I want to show this too right here. This is one of the juvenile footprints I found, which was about 6 inches long. So if you look in this, the next footprint was straight in line, so it wasn't staggered like a human footprint. And if you'll look at the tape measure, here's 14 inches. There's 14 inches right here. And the next footprint is still not showing yet. And my feet, I'm a size 11. So my foot's like 11 inches long. And I'm 5'10". And also, I've measured my foot. I've measured my step from one heel to the other. Like, okay, so that's the left foot right there. So my left foot to my right foot, my step is like 16 inches, 16 to 17 inches. And that's right there, that's showing 14 inches, and there's still not another step yet. Yeah, I was just wanting to show this here because this was a really good find, I believe. And I've been looking at these tracks, and I believe that's a coyote track. Because I've been learning the difference between the dog tracks and the coyote tracks. And I believe these are a little more oval shaped, so I believe these are the coyote tracks that have stepped in this footprint. There were some dog tracks there too around. But I wanted to show this because the next step here is not showing yet at 14 inches with these feet being so small. If this was a kid, you would have already seen the step within probably 8 inches or 9 inches. So this skunk ape that had this footprint here, this is a juvenile. This was one of our first finds. And this was probably taller than I am and had longer legs than me.